Hey AfterBuzzers, welcome to episode 2 of Rise, Most of All to Dream. Today we are talking no budget at all for the arts, Gordy and his alcoholism, and do Robbie and Lillette have a fling? We'll find out.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Song too hard.
So beautiful.
No one
Yeah, you know, Shay actually came up to me as I was watching the end of the episode, and she's like, are you okay? Are you crying? And I was like, I'm a little depressed right now, okay? This is a little too intense for me.
I'm fine.
I'm good. I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. It was very emotional. It was very emotional.
With the montage of everyone just going through their
beautiful
stuff.
Song. Like, we're gonna keep getting better and better with all these songs, but this one's hard to top. But anyway, we're gonna talk about that in just a bit. But before we do, I just want to introduce myself really quickly. I am Mina, and we have Becca in studio.
Yay!
You want to introduce yourself?
Becca.
You were in hiding for a little bit.
Yeah.
And now you're with us. We're happy to have you.
I was in Texas last week.
I am Shay Jones.
And hey guys, I'm Taylor Gates.
And what were your guys' initial thoughts of this episode?
I really liked it. I thought that they are kind of starting to expand beyond just the world that they've created in the pilot. I think that they're breaking away from a lot of the cliches that were kind of present in the pilot and kind of establishing itself as like its own thing and its own entity. And I'm really excited to see where they're going to go even after this.
I was right. I felt vindicated, and that's all I'm gonna say until I get to do a rant later.
Okay. But you were right about something.
I'm right about something, and my gut is like really strong, and I'm gonna keep about my gut about my life today. I feel very happy, but I am super excited. I love the whole Lillette and Robbie. That like their chemistry is just really amazing. It's just awesome to watch.
Do you feel it?
I feel it. I love it, and I cannot wait for more. And let's keep going because I want to get to Miss Tracy.
What about you, Becca? You saw the pilot. Now we're on episode 2. What do you think about everything so far?
I think it's moving along nicely. I ship Robbie and Lillette, even though Robbie shouldn't have blown her off like that. I also feel bad for Gwen because I think she has a lot of pressure on her.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on in her life.
That's like what we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Like, BZs can be multidimensional too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's incredibly talented.
Like I said, like ain't nothing wrong with her. I just like she's her issue for being a bitch is because of what's happening to her life, and I totally understand that. But that does not, delay the fact that she still can be.
Well,
what I said.
It's because she's insecure.
Most people like
home life.
Yeah, her home life sucks.
Yeah,
I'm not
the greatest.
I'm just real.
But let's talk about the very beginning of the show, and let's get to the point of like no budget at all for the arts because of what happened in last week's episode at the very end. We were all excited about them burning the costumes, and we were just like, okay, now everything will be fine. But no, there are consequences for just burning all of the costumes for that pirate play.
I'm glad that we got to see that though, because I mean it was like a great dramatic moment. But I was like, come on, guys, like, you could have a garage sale and sell them. You could use these for future productions, and so I kind of like the fact that it wasn't just like swept under the rug and forgotten about. There's consequences for burning a bunch of stuff in a little bonfire.
They were, according to the teacher, those costumes were 30 years old. It's not
Fair
like
enough.
anyone was going to use them anyway.
They were going to use it for the pirate show.
Maybe a thrift store.
Yeah.
That's like the only place I can think
Halloween costumes.
But yeah, and they could have thought that one through like Taylor just did.
I'm okay.
This
I'm
theme
totally
of like
fine
no budgets for the art show is like really affecting everything. We see it later on in the meeting that they have. The little school council meeting. It's a little ridiculous. Like all this money for a football field and nothing for.
Because let's be real, most people care more about sports, especially donors and sponsorships of sports, because they went to that school and now they're funding more money into the one thing that had their glory days. And when it comes to the arts, like if they didn't do it in high school, they don't really care. So yeah, there's no money. Yeah. And that really sucks because the arts, anything creative, seriously is why this country is amazing.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. And like, how else are you gonna like learn the skills to do those amazing wedding proposals later in life? So, you know, a lot of practical applications for the arts.
Sports
but-
get attention no matter what.
Yeah.
So
They really do. Acting is a sport. Acting is a sport, okay? And so is singing.
And, you know, singing is definitely
You're
a sport.
exercising your vocal muscles.
control.
There you
yeah.
go.
Whew.
Yeah,
I love
there's a lot there.
I loved the scene where they were asking the board for the money, though. I don't know, you kind of teased out how you loved Tracy's, like,
I see
she
it
went hard,
nothing.
and I loved it. I love that we got more of her, like, kind of fiery personalities. I feel like in the pilot, like, she got a couple really good scenes, but we're kind of seeing that fire come out. And I'm kind of like, why did we fire her in the first place? Because she's wonderful, and she obviously has that ear and that eye when she's kind of directing and coaching.
Gotta save that $2,000.
I know. I think that I think I don't know. At least I read somewhere, or at least maybe it was like hinted at in the pilot, but that the principal like fired her because he just wants it to fail and wants it not to be a thing anymore. And so the fact that Tracy is teaming up with Mr. Mizzou now, I think that that's not gonna happen because together they're a great team.
Wait, so if
Yeah,
she got paid
there's
$2,000
perspective.
before,
Well,
how
she
much
got
did she...
4,000.
Oh, she did get
When
4,000.
Miss Mizzou took over, he got a 2,000. But she's like, they traded me out to save $2,000.
Okay,
That is
got
exactly
it.
why you're here.
So how much is she getting paid now then? 1,000?
Well, now I guess it's zero because the the theater department has no money.
Yeah.
Legit, like, I'm sorry, all that set
so-
equipment and costumes did not cost no $2,000. Like, if we legit probably looked at the net
Yeah.
worth value,
Yeah.
maybe, I'm being generous, 500.
I don't know.
Maybe.
You should go on The Price is Right. Yeah. I don't know.
500.
I'm not
I
good
don't know
at,
either.
I'm not good at making these financial assessments.
Yeah,
I'm
Definitely not.
I don't have the shake it.
$117,000 for the jumbotron. Okay, it's definitely not that much. We can confidently
That's a
say
lot
that.
of money.
For like, what high school has a jumbotron on their football field?
I think mine does,
doesn't-
but I
Texas
can't
schools?
remember.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
That
This
is
isn't
Texas
Friday Night Lights, though, Becca. This is Pennsylvania.
But it's the creators of Friday Night Lights.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
So,
Okay.
but also I'm from Texas, so like sports football is like huge deal in Texas. So
But speaking
I
of
was not surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense. But speaking of football, Gordy, one of the football players, definitely has an alcohol problem.
Yes.
Did you guys think this despite him denying it repeatedly that he was done with it? Did you think that he was telling the truth when he kept saying, no, I'm done with it, I wasn't drinking, I breathed into the breathalyzer, no alcohol? I mean, I believed him when he said that because...
Well, okay. I got you.
Okay.
Because let me say something to you. When you say it once, like you say, oh, I took the breathalyzer, we're good. Okay, but when you kept repeating the same thing, now you're trying to hide behind the fact that where you were possibly driving to was to buy some alcohol, and the only reason your breath was fresh was because you didn't get a chance to get to the alcohol yet.
I was thinking that.
So- While your words might say one thing, the repeated action of that word for me in the same sentences is suspect.
See, I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt,
Me too.
honestly. Especially in the scene with his mom. I was like, oh, he's just so sad. Like, he's just... Yeah, because his parents are kind of just keep asking about it. And if he were not to have had a drinking problem, like, that would really weigh on you. Like, oh my gosh, they don't believe me.
I'm gonna start drinking because this is really
Right.
getting to me.
Like, I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and so I was very disappointed when he let me down.
No, I wanted to be Team Gordy.
Yeah.
Until he started laughing. I thought he was high, first of all. I didn't
I
think he
didn't
was
think it
drinking.
was
I thought he
drugs.
was just high.
Yeah.
And like,
I thought he was doing one of those things. At first, I was like, he's either on drugs or he's doing one of those things where, you know, like you laugh because you're trying to hide your
Yeah,
pain and then you're gonna
yes.
like start crying hysterically. I totally thought there was gonna be an emotional breakthrough, and when there wasn't, I was like, oh man, like I was looking forward to that like mother-son moment, and I didn't get that.
I can see that too. I think it's interesting, Mr. Mizzou's and Gordy's relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because when he's even like, let's be honest with each other. And he's like, I won't see you as a disappointment. Like he immediately thinks that, you know, you're lying to me.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's also like I feel like now that Coach is around, and he kind of can see Coach as that like I might be a disappointment to you as your father. Like, it's a double-edged sword when you think of it.
Yeah. I mean, what would make him not a disappointment to his father? Does he really need to play guitar and do all these things? Like, what is it?
No, I mean more like if Miss Bazoo felt like he was a disappointment to Gordy because he's not like whatever Coach Dude's name.
Oh, I see what you're saying now.
Yes.
Okay, that's what you mean. Like, he's not like the football he's like an arts teacher and literature teacher, and he's not like that football like guy that encourages. I get what you're saying.
I didn't necessarily think that was super fair of him to say, though, because even though he is this literature teacher and obviously coaching, you know, being a director, I never felt that he was like pressuring all of his kids to be artsy too. Like, I didn't feel that pressure yet, at least. Like, I didn't think that was a very like fair thing to say, to blame his problems on that in particular. And I'm wondering if that's the real reason and I'm just not getting it, or it's like something deeper and that's what he's fronting.
Yeah.
Could be a
I
mixture of
think he's
both.
trying.
Yeah.
He's just like trying to be a good dad and be a good director all at the same time.
He's so cold though to his kids. Like, I feel like he puts more
Yeah.
passion and enthusiasm to his kids at school than he does to his own children at home. And I think maybe he like for him the arts and like theater is an escape from home. But I think like I don't know why though. Like, because it seems like theater is more difficult, but it's just he's not connecting to his son, and like you feel the tension there. And it's not just him. I think both parents, like, it just feels like such an awkward family dynamic. Like, so cold. Not warm at all.
I think it could be the son not connecting well to him, though, too. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say I think it's both. They're
wanna
both
be
disconnecting
Gordy.
also because like he could like seeing his father, however his father was when he was growing up, and his son. And that also is creating disconnect. But he's like, I want to help you. Even as a kid, like if your father is an alcoholic and you're trying to help them and they don't want the help. And then you have a son who might be dealing with the same thing and you couldn't help your father. And you're trying your best to help your son. But nobody wants your help. It's like a big pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you got to figure out something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes, and I'm interested to find out still more about Mr. Mizzou, because I feel like there's still something, like you said, he just acts sort of like cold and weird around his family, and I kind of get that vibe too. And so I'm wondering, I want to see more of his flaws and kind of where he comes from, because we know he had an alcoholic father now, but that's kind of all we know about him, other than he's like, oh, I want to teach so they can learn to dream and stuff, and I'm like, but is that it? Like, I don't know if I buy that.
I mean, it's so weird for me to see him go from Ted Mosby on How I Met Your Mother to this, because it's so different. Like, he was so warm on that show, and obviously, like, acting, but it's just so weird for me to see him in this role of, like, a teacher who's kind of aloof, but really wants to make a difference and wants to have an impact, but doesn't, like, there's, like, so many walls, like, not just necessarily with like the lack of a budget and like all this pressure from the football coach and this and that, but there's pressure in his own life as well. And I just think the whole show is so interesting, how there's kind of like, you know, like these intersecting lives, and how it's just so interesting how they do that, like how each student has a connection to someone else's parent, to another student, and it all comes around full circle, and it's like this perfect puzzle that's just pieced together that you keep finding out as the episodes progress.
I think one thing about him is his confidence needs to grow.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because he's nervous. He, like, rehearses what he's going to say to his class, to his students.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense, though, because of the whole, like, stage left, stage right thing, and him not knowing what he's doing, and, you know, Gwen calling him out on that.
I relate so much to that. I'm so directionally challenged.
Yeah. What do we think of Gwen?
He left, right? What?
I mean, I'm still in what I'm saying, but I understand her a little bit more, and I totally get it. Like, obviously, people are assholes and, like, douches and bitches, but, like, not because they are that way. It's because they're hurting. It's seriously, that's, like, the most thing you could say. They're hurting, and they're in pain, and they're insecure, and so they lash out. So it's totally... I'm not just saying she is just because she is, but there's a lot. Obviously, we put so many layers back for her this episode in particular, like her trying to stand out more when that's not what her character is in the show. It's not about standing out and like and trying to find out who this character is, but still, like, you know, she has a mom like, I don't know if her mom's the devil or the angel right now, but she's something on her shoulder saying, you know, this guy's an amateur. You're meant to stand out. This is your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think there's also another side of her who's just like, I just love doing this at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have to always be the lead to enjoy being on a stage.
Like, I don't know if she really cares to be in that position or if it's just like the pressure from her mom. It's kind of like she feels the need to impress or get that validation and approval.
Mm-hmm.
I think that theater is like kind of her way to connect with people. Like, we saw her sing, and like obviously we all felt that, you know, kind of connection with her. And I think another like moment that really showed that was when she like made dinner for her family.
Made family.
She made family for dinner. No, she made the dinner for her family, and I was like, wow, that just, I don't know, I think that shows her personality and kind of like situation a lot. The fact that she's the one who wants to like initiate that, especially because her dad is, you know, going out and cheating on her mom. Like, she's just in such a rough place, and I think she just is really craving, like...
Is the mom aware?
I think so.
That she knows?
The mom is aware.
That the dad's cheating?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's
She's
very
not-
obvious.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
not stupid. That whole scene is
wonder
very
if they-
cold. Like,
I wonder if they
That was
talked about it,
awkward.
though.
it's awkward and it's cold, but I do give it up for Lilette, like, for being like, hey, like, I found out what you said. It was true, but I am not my mother.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, like...
Oh, is that the thing you're right about?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
That's like...
That's
another
another
character.
thing.
that
Okay.
whole-
Get to
thing is-
later. But like I was like, that's a very mature thing. Like, obviously Lilette's very mature for her age. She kind of has to be, but that was a very mature thing to be like, hey, I am not my mother, just so we are understanding about who I am, because I have to work with you. I have to be on the stage with you. I kind of have to trust you for the next 3 months
Yeah.
to like kind of have my back here. Like, this is the one place I need you to have my back. I don't care kind of outside of this, you know, space, but in this space, I need you to have my back.
Like, kind of speaking of Alette, I love that theater is kind of her place to be a kid again, because like you're saying, she has to be mature. Like, her interactions with her mom read very almost like Gilmore Girls-y to me.
Yes.
I swear.
Like, she's the mature one.
Yeah.
I was feeling Gilmore Girls vibes
for
this
sure.
episode. I was like, oh my god, like, because I used to always look forward to
Yeah.
watching that show every day
Yes.
after school, and yeah, like, it's such a good show, and you feel the dynamic and the closeness. But I get what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
they're kind of more like sisters
Yeah.
than it is a mother-daughter dynamic.
And I think that, like, kind of just comparing it to Gilmore Girls, I think Lilette's mom is maybe a little bit even more immature
yeah.
than Lorelai was.
Lorelai had her stuff together.
Lorelai had her stuff
She had
together
her
in
in.
certain ways. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that Lilette's mom is still she just feels very young to me, and she is kind of still figuring out kind of who she is as well. And so I love the fact that, like, when Lilette's at the theater and with Robbie, she, like, can be that teenager that she actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I agree.
Definitely would.
What?
I agree.
Oh.
Oh, I thought you said something else.
I heard.
But you said from
But
the
okay.
very beginning that you shipped that relationship, Becca.
I ship it so
Yeah.
much.
So
Why?
cute. How could you not?
Why?
Because, I mean, they look good together, first of all, and they, like, I don't know, just, like, that scene with, like, the close-up stuff, oh, I don't know, they're cute.
And you just feel the chemistry
Yeah.
on screen.
I just love it.
I agree. Yeah, but now he has someone else. He has the other
We'll see.
Maybe. It could be a tease.
Yeah.
We'll see how long that'll last.
We'll see.
That upset me. I was like, what? No.
But then, like, speaking of pressure, like, Robbie has his own pressure. Like, you know, he had his teammate, like you are, like, if you don't play well, I don't play well. I don't get to go to college. Like, that's a lot of pressure put on a 17-year-old kid. Like, I have to hold up this whole entire school.
I almost don't blame him for flaking. I just,
Oh, yeah, me too.
like, it's just kind of
Totally
like, what is his priority? A play that is an emotional outlet for him, or something that could determine the rest of his future in college? I obviously think that for him, it makes more sense for him to invest in football, but theater is going to help him in terms of his growth, his emotional development, his social development, and like
social,
like
for
with
sure.
girls and kind of like in that realm. So I just feel like, yeah, it's good for him, but at the same time, if he's thinking about his future and also the future of his teammates, like, football was his love and his passion, and he committed to it already. He was just kind of like plucked from that because of some rally. And
But like, you can go to school for theater too. You can get a scholarship in theater. Like, it's not like.
but what's more likely, that he's gonna get a scholarship in theater
Never
after
know by
never
the
having
end.
done it, or
What's more likely that he's gonna break his
Troy
leg
Bolton
playing
did.
football?
Hmm.
That is true. I will give you that. But that was basketball. Anyway, we're gonna don't be putting two sports that don't match together.
You don't know. He might have a Fergie moment on stage. I mean, you just never know.
She made
You
an
just-
artistic choice. That's all I'm gonna say.
You
Okay?
never know. Okay, you just never know with these things.
Just like you'll never know football. Like seriously, football is like
Maybe
has
he
the
can
most
sing-
injuries of any sport
Maybe he can
besides
sing
cheerleading.
at one of his
Gymnastics.
football games and then go play right after and combine both loves together.
Oh my
There's a-
gosh,
there's
like
a
at
football-
halftime.
Just like go run,
Love
like
it.
run
Like
back
the
and
pep
forth.
So now we're glee during the halftime show
Yeah.
doing Thriller.
We-
I mean, I loved
we
it
are.
because that
That's
was
what-
the jam.
That's what this is becoming now.
Okay.
But yeah, like I feel like there's so much foreshadowing going on with Robbie's life trajectory and his mom, but we'll get to that way later in predictions. What I want to do is I want to talk about another love scenario that hasn't really come to fruition yet. Not Robbie and Lilex, we already talked about that, but our very own Simon and Jeremy.
I was right. I'm vindicated. Yay.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
You
Like,
know, you know,
okay,
for sure.
like,
Okay.
to play
Simon
devil's
had a date.
advocate, to play
Simon
devil's
had a date,
advocate,
yeah.
yeah, he had a date. And, like, who's to say that he isn't bisexual? Like, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
like,
okay, he
I
could be-
also kind of maybe think that he might be gay as well. But
Thank you.
I don't know. We have to just keep watching because maybe things will surprise us.
Okay, if we're gonna play devil's advocate, this is what I'm saying. He could be sexually fluid.
Exactly.
Let him be sexually fluid. However, I don't believe so. For two reasons. You wouldn't got so nervous about just hanging out with a
scared,
guy
yeah.
on a Saturday night. You could just be hanging, and who cares if somebody else knows you're hanging? And two, during the date, that was the most uncomfortable date. Like, it's all one-sided. Like, you can tell he's not, like, he's barely listening to her.
I
Like,
felt so bad for Annabelle
I
because
really
she likes
did.
him so much.
and it was so obvious. And you're just like, that's just like that's kind of almost cruel. Like, obviously, like, he's not trying to be cruel, but it also
Yeah.
comes across as cruel because
He's like playing with her
Yeah, you're
without
playing
meaning
with
to.
cause he's scared and he's trying to figure
He's
out
trying
like
to prove that he's like straight.
Yeah.
And that he's
because if
himself.
you were sexually fluid, that's a whole other conversation.
Who is ever that comfortable with their sexuality in high school though? You know,
Yeah.
that's like a stage of exploration, and some people don't even figure it out till way later in life.
I figured it out at 11, but okay.
Yeah.
I
Well,
was
you're a
21,
special
so-
breed, Shay.
Congrats.
You are a special breed
Thank
because
you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. No, because it does take time to discover for some people, and
Kind of going like a little bit segueing, but going off of like Simon's storyline, I really kind of appreciated that the priest almost like stuck up for the fact that the play
Yes.
was happening, because that's like not something
Me too.
A
you
Catholic
see.
priest would do.
Yeah, he was like, well, I see the benefits of it. And I was like, thank you. Like, that was
Yes.
awesome.
Like
That
it's
was
like
so
you had a
surprising.
life before you put on that thing right here,
but
didn't you, sir?
I didn't like his argument. Like, do you trust the teacher? And he's like, yes, I trust him. It just felt like that line in Aladdin when he's like,
I liked
do you
that
trust
so
me?
much.
Grab my hand. It's like, no, I don't trust you.
Well, I
Like,
liked that a lot because it says that,
Well, in
like,
the sense
trust is
of
important.
that, I
Yeah,
also feel
I
like
agree. I like
because
that.
the parents have to, the whole situation, the parents have to trust the son they raised, and in doing so, like they have to believe in his trust in this teacher.
mm-hmm.
To be fair, though, I also like the fact that I don't think Simon's parents are coming off as, like, super extreme. Like, they have, like, obviously conservative viewpoints, but I think they're somewhat valid. Like, obviously, I would, you know, let the high school do the play, but, like, their concerns aren't, like, super crazy.
Unreasonable, yeah.
They're not unreasonable. And I like that, too. Like, they're not screaming or, like, making insane flyers or picketing or whatever. Like, they're just, like, handling it in an actual real way. And I really like that side of things, too.
I mean, not gonna lie, I think most parents would probably have concerns with
Yeah,
the
for sure.
material.
Yeah.
But
In
what
a
I
normal high
dislike
school.
is the fact that after he said he's gonna do it, you're just like, oh, we're just gonna change school street.
Yeah.
Like that for me is a little bit extreme
Yeah.
in the
It
sense
just felt like it was too carefully timed and planned for it to be anything else than
Well, let's like talk about
a
it.
specific. Yeah.
yeah, like, oh, you're gonna do it, okay? We're gonna just oh, this school just opened up. It's better for you.
What do you know?
What a
Yeah.
coincidence.
What a coincidence that a spot just
Wow.
fell out of the sky.
Yeah, for any of you who have seen Thoroughbreds, very similar situation in that movie.
Oh, I need to see
Yeah.
it. I know it's amazing.
It's so good.
I'm gonna say Tanya is so hardcore right now.
It's so good. But yeah, speaking of like, you know, these LGBT issues, we do have a very important transgender issue in this show. And it's getting like, I feel like they're going to keep covering more and more of it, but this was like the issue with the restrooms. And remind me what the character's name is again.
Michael. Yeah.
Yes, Michael. So Michael asks if he can use the men's restroom and
Men's dressing room.
Yeah,
men's dressing room to change. Yes, thank
Same
you.
idea. Same
thing,
idea.
yeah.
I get what you're saying. Thank you.
You know.
Just to clarify, and he doesn't want to make a big deal out of it, but the teacher says yes, and yeah, that's just kind of like a breakthrough moment. And I'm sure
like that.
whoever's watching this, if anyone's like relating to this, it's definitely going to be touching for them and kind of like giving them hope that, you know, we're kind of changing the way society functions. Like even me just going to random restaurants in the Valley now, I've noticed a lot of restaurants have changed their signs to all gender restroom or like just like putting like the picture of the guy and the girl in the dress with the slash and making them kind of like for everyone, which I think is really awesome, you know? I feel like we're already making strides in society with that. But what did you feel about this moment?
I agree, and I really liked how that scene played out because it wasn't like everyone was like, "Oh, great job, embrace yourself," because that's not something that's gonna happen. No one's gonna like clap, but also no one was like super angry or like pissed off either. And so I like that it was just like, "Yeah, sure, dude, whatever."
Me too. Yeah, that it wasn't like over the top,
Yeah.
and no one was judging him.
Cue dramatic music.
Yeah.
I just totally respected the way Michael, played by Ellie, did it, like in the sense of just like, I don't want you to handle this. I just wanted to like bring to your attention to say, this is what I'm gonna do, and if I do need your help, I'll ask for it. But I didn't kind of like, I have to. This is something I have to do for myself, and it can't be through you. And then when he did it, like he just, you know, she walked in, went to the back, and he like grabbed the little pole. He's like, yes, like had a little mini dance, and it was like so cute.
Yeah.
Like I loved it.
Michael.
Like, how many other issues? Like, we've covered so many issues so far. We've covered alcoholism, LGBT issues, the issues with parents. Like, we've pretty much covered, like, almost everything, right? Is there anything we're missing? Anything that you guys want to bring to the forefront? Because I feel like we've covered pretty much all of it.
I mean,
The love triangles on the show.
Yeah, just like as a general term, I really love the like design of the show, if that makes sense. Like the visuals, I feel like are
The
very
film
Friday.
style.
Yeah, it's like Friday Night Lights-ish. Like the houses aren't like crazy big, and like the town's not this glitzy, glamorous thing. It's like just looks like a real town. And I don't know who was like the cinematographer.
The people look real too.
Yeah.
Like the makeup's not overdone.
I just
stuff
like the
like
look
that.
of the show overall.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys.
It did feel a little like the colors when you're watching the show. It feels so dark. Like I feel
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like bluish and gray tones in the show, and it just like kind of adds to that like very dramatic feel. Very like, you know, it's like a heavy show. It's not light, but I feel like it's one of those shows where you have like these breakthroughs and you have like these moments where you're like, oh my god, like I'm gonna cry, like I'm so touched, and I sense that coming in future episodes for sure.
Not gonna lie, I thought the Gordy car crash scene was gonna turn into some like big thing, like the Friday Night Lights storyline, and I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, I wonder if we're gonna get more of that though, because I don't think that's a pretty big thing to kind of just have and, you know, kind of brush off to the side. So I'm wondering if that is gonna come back in any way.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one gets seriously
I
hurt.
feel like
That's all
it
I have
has
to
to.
say.
I mean, I kind of respect the decision for him to stay in the school because I think were he to go off to that weird little isolation place that kind of remedies the alcohol problem, that he would feel like his family really didn't want him and feel even more alienated than he already does. So I think it was like a good call by Coach, and you know, it was interesting to see the dynamic play out between the mom and the dad, Mr. Mizzou and his wife, and how they just think about it so differently, especially Mr. Mizzou doesn't want to lose his son, and he's dealt with this with his own father. So there's like a lot going on there. I'm so interested and kind of like excited to see what's going to happen in the next episode. And, you know, it's cool that they're shedding light on all of this. But speaking of the next episode, let's get into some quick predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right,
Take it away, Taylor.
I think that Simon is not going to stay so complicit forever. I think that he's gonna find like his inner strength and kind of maybe rebel against his parents a little bit. Like, I don't think that he's leaving the school, like,
No,
because
he
then it would
can't.
not be Rise. Like, he's not leaving. So I think that he's finally gonna get the courage to maybe stand up to his
Yes.
parents. And I predict that Tracy is gonna continue being a boss because she's the best.
I love Tracy so much.
She's my favorite, I think,
Yes.
character.
Yeah. Me now?
Yeah.
Okay. My predictions totally agree. Simon's gonna like fight for his right
To party.
Stay
to
there.
stand in drama. I like legit. I knew it was gonna happen. Fight for his right to stand in drama. I definitely hope to see like Lillette and Robbie grow a little bit closer. Especially now that something obviously happened to his mom.
Oh.
And that's really sad. And like I feel like she can definitely relate and like be an anchor for him.
Mm-hmm.
Especially as a non-entity who doesn't really care about him being Robbie the football star and just cares about Robbie as a person.
Right.
Because the two are very different.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see that. Definitely want to see more Tracy because she is not a liability. She is definitely an asset.
To the show.
Girl brought you $7,000. Keep her, okay? Like, I'm really looking forward to more.
Pirate costumes.
Oh,
no.
Can we burn them? Can we have another bonfire?
For
That'd
the
be awesome.
7K.
Scatter the ashes.
My prediction is about Robbie, and I was thinking after the preview and because there's so much pressure put on him, what if like by the end of the season he's second guessing being on the football team,
Oh.
I could definitely see that, though.
and he starts to put theater first.
Interesting.
What if it's reversed and he starts questioning being on the theater team because he can't get his damn lines right?
But theater is
He got
new
his
for
lines
him.
right. He's getting it now.
He's getting it a little
Theater
bit.
is new for him, and I think by the end of the season he's gonna end up with Lillette. So
AKA Vanessa Hudgens. Yes, from High School Musical.
she
Circa
does look a lot
2006.
like her.
Yeah, no,
Circa
seriously, I'm just
2006.
like, what is happening? It's like the darker version of High School
She looks a
Musical.
lot like.
Oh, actually, I was because you said that I was thinking like a little bit from Flint from Glee, but that's because I'm Glee obsessed.
Yeah, Gleek, I know.
I'm a Gleek and I'm proud and I have a shirt to prove it.
Any other predictions? I'm just thinking, like, I feel like the whole cheating scandal between Lilette's mom and Coach, it's just going to blow up and it's going to become a thing. Maybe there's going to be rumors around the school about it, or there's going to be, like, even more drama within the drama department.
Yep.
There's like a lot there. Like, my hope is for Gwen and Lillette to become friends. It's like an unlikely match, but I feel like there's
I was
something
gonna
there because they have like a lot to bond over. They kind of have similar struggles, and I could really see them becoming best friends eventually as the season progresses. Also, obviously, Simon coming into his own, and like the character that I would say I'm the most interested in is for sure Gordy, because there's a lot there. You know, there's a lot of pain there, and I want to know why. It can't just be like school pressures. There has to be something going on with the parents that we don't see. I think there's something going on with the marriage between Mr. Mizzou and his wife, and there's like a lot of history there that needs to be dug into. And I think so far we've seen a lot of Mr. Mizzou in his teaching realm. We haven't seen a lot of him as a husband or a parent, really. So I'd like to see more of that and kind of see like how it parallels to his career as a teacher. So there's a lot to get into. Any final thoughts, guys?
I was gonna say, speaking of Mr. Mizzou and like his home life versus his teacher life, I think he's gonna like figure out Gwen more in the next couple episodes.
Yeah. Did you just see or did you love the look of shock and awe on his face
at
that final song.
Yes, the end of that.
How amazing was that song?
Oh
I
my
almost felt like it
gosh.
was like some weird like Eponine in Les
That
Miserables
was
scene.
so
Like it was so
Their
good.
voices.
I want to see more of Macious.
Ridiculous.
I'm not gonna lie.
I do.
Like not as a
He's
replacement
so
for Gordy, but as something that like that is like gonna maybe hopefully bring Gordy and his family closer. Like he's like Macious is gonna be that like
They can be
that
friends.
center.
Maybe
like,
he'll
piece.
be Gordy's rock, and maybe he'll
Yes.
have some issues of his own with alcohol or something, where he can really be someone that Gordy can talk to and relate to. Because if you didn't notice, like Gordy's siblings are way younger; they're female. Like he doesn't really have a man in his life that he can relate to or feel close to. I think Seamus can be that person for
You just
him.
call him Seamus.
Seamus can be that. What's his name?
Macious.
Macious.
Close.
Macious.
You're so close. I was
close.
just like, wait, did she just say like that? I
Macious.
transfer black into the lack of Irish? Yes, be calm.
Oh my gosh.
Seamus.
Yeah.
Yes, be
Happy
calm.
belated
Okay.
St. Patrick's Day. by
Thank
the
you.
way. By the way, I
hope you
can't.
were
I can't
watching
speak
that.
Happy
today.
belated.
So I'm like my tongue
I
is
said someone's
twisted.
gonna eat their family, so it's fine.
Yeah.
We're just
Yeah. I don't know.
making all the mistakes on
It's
the
late, you
run
guys.
after
It's
show.
actually 9:59, so we have 1
It's pretty
minute
late.
for this. So on that note, I am really looking forward to next
rest-
week's episode.
Yep.
Where can everyone find you all?
Hey guys, you can find me on Twitter at alphaba_Ann and on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_.
You can find me at Real Shay Jones on Twitter and Instagram. Love Shay Butter on Snapchat. And tomorrow find me on Black Lightning and Deception.
Woo!
Y'all can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Mina Makes Magic. Make sure to tune in to the season finale of America's Next Top Model next week and the week after. We have 2 episodes left, and that's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Yeah, 8 p.m.
Are you asking
I'm like,
us?
I'm looking at you guys. Like, you better be tuning in. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.